There's this weird idea people have that too many rich social elites living in gated communities telling the rest of the country to just accept foreigners indiscriminately. But I just can't believe it. I mean, there can't be that many. So the actor Jung Song is in the news again to promote his new book, calling for everyone to realize that refugees are just ordinary people like everyone else. Talk about painting with a broad brush. His book is called 내가 본 것을 당신도 볼 수 있다면, which is pretty ironic because a lot of people are being silenced across Europe for sharing their experience of migrants, which tends to depict an opposite reality to the one Jung Song wants to paint. The article quotes him while he's visiting a refugee camp in Bangladesh.
들이 장고의 난입반대 정서에 대해 언어나 정량으로서 느끼는 불안감과 우려를 존중한다면서도 4,200명에 대한 막연한 어려움에서 나온 거부감도 있겠지만 일부는 대중적인 정보 감성을 끌어내기 위해 조직적으로 그를 쓰는 사람들도 있었다. 이어 아비를 가진 경향과 가짜 뉴스의 마음이 아팠다면서 가짜 뉴스를 깔아내야 한다.
Fake news, he says, like a good UN puppet. Regarding Bangladesh, I should probably explain. The country has received over 1 million people from Myanmar in the span of about 5 months. They fled Myanmar in what the UN is calling a genocide committed by the Buddhists in Myanmar against the Rohingyas, a group of Muslims who live there. Looking at Myanmar's history, it seems there's been constant conflict between the two groups as well as debate over who has claims to the land. Nonetheless, the situation has escalated to a point of what the UN is calling apartheid. In 2017, Rohingyas involved in the group ARSA committed at least one massacre of about 100 Hindi civilians, which included women and children. One of the girls who survived had quoted them saying, "You have a different religion, you can't live here." In the same time period, ARSA also attacked 30 police stations as well as committed several other attacks. After this, the country's police retaliated extremely viciously, which is leading to the million people fleeing the country. Now Bangladesh is closing their border to these people. But here's the interesting thing. Bangladesh is a 90% Muslim country, yet even they are saying it is not safe for the country, not safe for the people to have Rohingyas in their schools, and that they have brought more crime and drugs to the country. Now, how do people think this would work in non-Muslim countries? There are a ton of parallels here. First, before this refugee crisis, Bangladesh cites about 200,000 illegal Rohingyas already. Now, let's add 1 million to that, and then let's continue to blame Bangladesh for not integrating them alone, as if they had the resources. Second, Bangladesh only intended to keep them temporarily, but it's obviously not going to happen. It sounds a lot like Angela Merkel from Germany said in 2015. She didn't think the refugees would stay in Germany, and they were supposed to go back. Third, we have a conflict in a foreign country that's not so simple to dissect, with terrible acts being done by both parties, and then a separate country is simply supposed to accept one of them. Most importantly, perhaps, that there are potential terrorists sneaking in with the group. This topic really needs us on video or video series, but clarification would be good here since there is a common misunderstanding of having a cautious approach to the refugee crisis. Because everyone acknowledges that these people are facing major hardships. It's really easy to look at one individual amongst the mass and hear their own story and think, oh, it'd be great if they could get help. That's why the media always does that, to make you feel emotional. However, the real world solutions are not always the easiest ones. You can't confuse a safe and popular opinion with that. The most important thing to ask, will migration actually help these migrants? And will the migration hurt the hospitable country? Feelings cannot provide a solution, but feeling-driven policy can hurt the ones that are intending to help. In this current situation, there's just chaos everywhere, which is why we have all this politicization and misinformation on the issue. If you look at the UK, Sweden, France, Germany, Belgium, all these places have these refugees. And, I don't even like that word. It's only 30% of them are from Syria. And that's according to the Refugee Center reports. Amongst the other 70%, there's ISIS. The other 70%, though, are just economic migrants taking advantage of European welfare. Welfare, by the way, paid for by people that are basically just afraid to be called racist. And I bet you wouldn't believe that, but in Sweden, for example, a dentist was fined about $48,000 and could potentially go to prison for proving via dental analysis that the migrants claiming to be children, which would help them get refugee status easily, are actually adults. He's such a racist. The UK has Sharia police. There are no-go zones in Sweden and France, places the cops avoid at all costs, which the press constantly denies, by the way. These days, 50% of rapes in Sweden are against minors. But, according to the Muslim London mayor, these kind of attacks are just part and parcel of living in a big city. And meanwhile, European citizens are arrested by police for their Facebook and Twitter posts. generally critical of EU's migration policy. I guess some opinions are just more equal than others. Many Jews are considering leaving Europe. The Muslims who persecuted them in the Middle East are now spitting on them in Paris streets. The UK Labour Party has said that rape victims should shut up for the sake of diversity. There are years of these stories. I mean, is this what Jung Song really wants to get involved in? Because so far it sounds like he has no idea what's going on in the places where his wishes have been put into practice.
많은 사람들이 타국의 땅까지 끌려가고 여기가 없다는 것을 바라본다면서 우리만 같은 평범한 사람이란 말을 전하지.
I guess you don't really have the time looking at the sea there, dude, because you're making this sound way too simple. In the real world, mixing culture and religion, they can easily lead to conflict. And simply inviting them and expecting them to integrate is pretty naive. First, people need to be honest with themselves and distinguish between what are real refugees and what are economic migrants. Secondly, people need to find the most efficient ways to help them.
What can I say except you're welcome? For the tides, the sun.
Instead of just emotionally charged policies that damage both communities. Now, understandably, since the Rohingya situation is affecting so many innocent people, Jung Song has a bleeding heart for it. But I'll tell you what, Jung Song and anyone else who is saying they need to be housed like he's saying, instead of imposing it upon the poorer Korean communities, can you call me when you start housing them yourself? But he won't, because someone already asked him.
당신은 또 좋은 동네에서 CCTV를 갖춘 집에 살면서 당신은 수령을 가하는 것은 비성기하는 지적에는 평생 안 좋은 동네에 살고 좋은 동네에 살면 안 돼요 라고 알아챘다.
Well, that's a great way to not answer that question. I guess he's too rich to deal with everyone else's problems.